Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 666. How auspicious is that? On Tuesday, the 13th of... Oh, God, it gets even worse. January 2026. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll hear us discuss how software is a devil to get right. In new car news, you will listen to us ask if one car is real or just some crazy dream. And in points of interest, you will find out how the CC output that's the same as the number of the beast is but a distant dream for one car. And first, we are on to follow-up. And I need to warn everybody now, there is a lot of articles and stories in this week's show. Several of them we are going to briefly touch on and move on. As ever, links in the show notes. If you want to find the full details, click those through, read the articles that we are referring to, please. But for our sanity and yours...
That's it. I was going to say, but partly for Andrew's sanity, as well as just the show not taking 3 hours and us not being incredibly angry.
Yes. But I will start with some follow-up. And the first bit is something we talked about way back, I think it was August or July. The government was mulling the idea of changing some rules to do with the roads and road safety. But now they have finally brought out the road safety strategy. We finally have a new road strategy. And there's quite a lot of proposals in here that will hopefully make a difference to road safety in terms of reducing the overall figures, which haven't reduced in over a decade now, in terms of injury and deaths.
No.
Unfortunately. There are 5 big areas that they're looking at. There's to do with motoring offences and how they're going to change things with that. Learner drivers, elderly drivers. There's also improving moped and motorcycle training and licensing. And also the mandating of vehicle safety technologies. Think what they're doing in Europe. We haven't got a formal statement that says we have adopted exactly what Europe are doing.
Mm-hmm.
There will be, in the show notes, a link to the government's own webpage that has the road safety strategy, which is a PDF, as well as links to those 5 consultations. If you are interested in any of those, do click those links and actually make your voice be heard, because at the end of it, we can't complain if you haven't said something.
Mm-hmm.
The main headline news that's coming out really from this is drink driving levels will be reduced, which is a good thing, frankly, considering how high they were.
To Scottish levels.
Yep. There is also, for elderly drivers, mandatory eyesight tests, as well as cognitive tests, although I'm not sure what they mean by a cognitive test exactly.
I don't know. If the US president can pass his ones, then they must be pretty low.
Also, it's for learner drivers to take something like between 3 and 6 months from starting to learn to drive before they're able to take a test, so that they get more experience in different conditions.
I love the line that they should have different conditions like wet or cold weather and at night. And you just think, yeah. Try learning in Scotland.
You only have those.
Yes.
But also they're talking about, and this one seems a little bit, we're doing it for the headlines, harsher penalties for those who do break the law. It's as Alan was saying to me earlier. The majority of these people don't care about breaking the law anyway. Changing the penalty isn't going to change their opinion on it.
If you don't care about not having any insurance, then it's not going to make a difference if it's a £150 fine or a £300 fine. If you're one of those people who insists on not wearing a seatbelt in the car, you're probably not going to be that bothered. The notable thing about this, though, is that if you're not wearing a seatbelt in the car and you're a passenger and you're over the age of 18, then the driver will get punished as well, whereas that's not currently the case. Currently, it's the adult passengers who will get fined and points if that's relevant. But again, I just don't see that making a difference to anybody who's going to do that anyway.
No. And the final thing is that they're looking at allowing councils to be able to change speed limits more easily, which I really don't like the idea of that one.
By change, they mean reduce.
Yeah, of course.
By the way. That's reduce.
And to reiterate, if you're not a long-time listener, of course we want the roads to be safer and we are not advocating people speeding. However, there is an awful lot of justifications that are not valid or actually truthful.
He did give air quotes around the word justifications there, for those of you who can't see this.
Anyway, Alan, do you want to take us on to the next bit of quick follow-up?
Yeah, Chinese automotive group Geely, it floated off parts of itself a little while ago onto various stock markets around the world. One part it floated off part of was ZEEKR, which is an EV brand. They sold it off. They raised quite a lot of money. Things haven't been quite so great, generally around many of the Geely brands. What they've done is they have now bought it back and made it completely private. They've then done some financial guddling, and they've moved bits around, and this stake of this has gone from this subsidiary to that subsidiary to the next subsidiary. It sounds like the accountants and lawyers have been having a lot of fun. I imagine that over the next few months we will start to see what some of the strategic outcomes of that are. Gosh, you can tell I'm a consultant sometimes. And what's actually going to happen, whether they're going to sell off bits or fold bits or whatever. We don't know yet.
Well, Geely has talked heavily about sharing a lot of technologies across all their brands, haven't they,
Yes.
recently? Yeah, as you say, I think in the coming months we will get more of an idea of what is happening.
Yes.
But we included that for completeness because we like to complete these things because we did talk about it a while ago.
We did, exactly. Next up, though, Andrew, JLR, cybercrime,
Yep.
payroll data.
Yes, still knock-ons of this. It is reported that during the attack, they got the personal payroll data of thousands of employees as well as whatever else they took. Again, JLR are silent on this. I'm not so sure the way they've been so quiet about this is the best policy, but it is the policy that they are following and they are sticking right to it. Employees have been warned to look out for potential fraud and for scams. JLR is saying there is no evidence yet that any naughtiness has been done with this data. And you sort of go, oh, right, well, that's okay then, isn't it?
It doesn't matter. It's bank account details, tax codes, and other sensitive data relating to staff salaries, benefits, and former employees, according to the register. It's all right. I've only spent my afternoon studying stuff all about GDPR, so I'm glad that that doesn't alarm me in any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all.
No, that's not good, folks.
Just be careful.
Yes.
Be very, very careful, please.
That takes us to...
New news.
Brings us to new news and December 2025 SMMT new car registration figures, and in fact, that includes the whole of 2025, because yay.
Well, overall, it's positive.
Yes, overall, for the full year, it was up 3.5%. I've got to be really careful because there's double the amount of confusing infographics this month.
Yes.
For those of you who've never been to the SMMT page, you probably don't understand what I'm talking about, but every few months they just make it a little more confusing. And then, of course, when it comes to December, you get twice as much of the newly reformatted, confusing infographics. Overall, in 2025, new car registrations reached 2.02 million, making it up 3.5% year on year. Internal combustion engine is still the biggest selling powertrain, but growing demand for electrified cars has narrowed the majority to just 51.5%. Almost 500,000 new battery electric vehicles joined the road as 1 in 4 buyers almost went electric. But the gap between demand and ambition widens. In other words, they're saying, yeah, we still can't keep up with the government targets.
And that second point that you talked about there, I don't understand why they've said this, where you talked about internal combustion engine still the biggest selling powertrain, but growing, it narrows to just 51.5. But the problem is most petrol vehicles are of the mild hybrid type anyway, so they are significantly better than they were.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not a hybrid. It's just, it just feels so silly. You don't need to say that.
There is a link. It is electrified cars in that bit, not electric. And then there is a footnote number 1, which points out that electrified includes hybrids and plug-in hybrids.
This just feels like a pointless, silly thing to do.
Over the year, the entire year of 2025, there were 937,938 petrol vehicles registered. That's down 8% on 2024. There were 103,906 diesel cars registered. That's down 15.6% on last year. That gives a mere 5.1% market share. Pure petrol, by the way, before I forget, 46.4% market share. Hybrid electric vehicles 280,185. That's up 7.2% year on year for a 13.9% market share. Battery electric vehicles, which is what everybody's talking about, 473,348. That's 23.9% increase over last year with a 23.4% market share. Glad that all these percentages aren't really similar and confusing. And plug-in hybrids, 225,143. That's up 34.7% to an 11.1% market share. In terms of market share, definitely just petrol and mild hybrid at 46.4%, followed by battery electric at 23.4%, followed by hybrids at 13.9%, plug-ins at 11.1%, and diesel at 5.1%.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of the year, private registrations to private buyers, registries, it was 38.6%. For fleet was 59.1%, and for business was 2.3%. For December, the percentage of fleet was higher, percentage of private was lower. That's basically the same shares as it was last year, give or take a couple of decimals.
I am surprised at how high the private registrations were, considering for how long they were dropping this year.
Fooled me, actually. Yeah, it fooled me. I was surprised to see that on the aggregates as well.
Mm.
It's the best year there has been since 2019, and that's sort of generally increasing from 2020.
Yep.
Top 10 models for December. He says clicking the correct button. At number 10, with 2,326 registrations. So the numbers are really very low all the way through all of these. December is not traditionally a big registration month because Christmas and places are shut and all that kind of thing. So it's been curious to see the little spike in registrations for some brands and some models.
Yes.
Anyway, if you go to Auto Trader, by the way, just as a completely unrelated exercise, and you search for vehicles with under 100 miles, you'd be amazed how many there are out there.
Yes, and you will have your eyes opened at which brands have got particularly a lot of those.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, completely unrelated to that, number 10, Nissan Juke, 2,326 registrations. Number 9, the Tesla Model 3 at 2,549. Number 8, the Mini Cooper, 2,581. Number 7, the MG HS. This is them repeating the names, by the way.
Yep.
2,803. It's not just me trying to be funny. Number 6, the Jaiku 7 at 2,863. Everyone's so close together. We're barely over 500 more between 10 and 6. Number 5, the Nissan Qashqai, 2,887. Number 4, the MG ZS, 2,394. Number 3, the Volvo XC40, 2,319. Mm-hmm. Number 2, the Tesla Model YOY, 3,737. So there's a good 400 and something leap in one fair jump there. And number 1, everybody's favorite, it seems, the Ford Puma with 4,680 registrations.
Yes.
Yes. You could buy one new, or you could look in that search on Auto Trader I maybe mentioned.
Not the only brand in that top 10 list, though, that you can do that with.
Oh, no, not at all.
And surprisingly, not a single Kia or Hyundai in that top 10 list for December.
Well, that's very true. However, for the full year, slightly different. Hyundai Tucson comes in at number 10, 28,613. I'm not going to go through all of the numbers. Hyundai Tucson, Volkswagen Tiguan, MG HS, Volvo XC40, Volkswagen Golf, and that takes us to 32,478 at number 6. And number 5, the Nissan Juke. Number 4, the Vauxhall Corsa. Number 3, the Nissan Qashqai. Now, the Vauxhall Corsa, 35,947 registrations. Nissan Qashqai, 41,141 registrations. Basically 5,000 of a jump right there when everybody else has been very close together. Kia Sportage, 47,788. So there's a jump of 6,500 roughly there. And then At number 1, the Ford Puma with 55,488. I mean, maybe it's not a steady geographic spread because I don't see an awful lot of brand new Ford Pumas on the road. I see some, but I don't see lots.
Yes. Anyway, I'm going to do the spreadsheet of doom.
Yes, because I've waffled a lot.
And well, it's difficult not to with all that info you had to do. You had to do both the month and the year. For the spreadsheet of doom, not going to do the overall year. We're just going to stick with the month of December here.
Can we highlight a couple of things for the full year? I've got a couple of things I've highlighted on my copy. Yeah.
There's a few ridiculous percentages anyway. Bentley is down 21%. Citroen is down 15%. Dacia is down 42%. DS is down 56%. Fiat is down 83%. To put that in perspective, in 2024, they registered 875 in December. In 2025, only 149. But I think that is before the Fiat Grandi Pandi is now available or will be available. I think that will make a big difference to them.
I think there has been a supply gap.
Yes.
With Fiat.
Genesis is down 39%. Honda is down 32%. Ineos is down 41%. That's from 17 to 10.
Remember that they have commercial versions of the Grenadier as well, he says, trying to be fair.
Jaguar is down 100%. They obviously don't register anything now at the moment. Jeep is down at 24%. Lexus is down 16%. Maxis is down 96%. 2024, 28 they registered. In 25, 1. Okay. Mazda is down 51%. Mercedes is down 19%. That is quite a drop in numbers. Mini is down 27%. Peugeot down 16%. Porsche down 34%. Seat down 36%. Skoda down 31%. Tesla down 27%. Still, there's 6,286 registered.
Yeah, these things happen now.
Yep. Toyota is down 28%. Vauxhall is down 27%. Other British down 36%. And other imports down 29%.
Remember, December was the end of a quarter for Tesla as well. On the more positives, Alfa Romeo up 120%. Alpine up 1,454% to 24 to 373. Mostly rebadged Renault 5s, I guess. Audi up 15%, BYD up 467%, Ford up 25%, GWM up 306%. Jaiku, get the MG award, 1,724.88%. Worth noticing that that's 3,814 vehicles registered this year, or 2025, 209 in December 2024, which had made up the entirety of their 2024 registrations. That meant that with 28,232 Jaiku registered over the whole of 2025, that's a 13,408% increase. So well done to them on that. Maserati up 86%, Omoda up 126%, Polestar up 93%, Skywell, well, I think I've seen a couple of those, which is quite an achievement, up 33%, Smart up 233%, and Suzuki up 75%. The greatest market share for a single brand in the UK last year was 8.84% to a Volkswagen, and overall they were up 7.4% against 2024. The greatest drop in registrations by percentage from year to year, where it is not a now dead or at least comatose brand, was Abarth, down 72% over the year, 291 vehicles registered as opposed to 1,027. Chevrolet, by the way, massive congratulations to Chevrolet for registering 85 vehicles in 2025 compared to 1 in 2024. I can only imagine they were imports.
Obviously, Mike Hawes has his monthly statement, and in it he does mention about how it's not sustainable for the industry to keep offering the discounts that it is. They also now can start talking about how consumers are getting mixed messages thanks to the government's changes to EV tax rules, and that incoming in future years. And also talks about needing help with charging because that's so costly, particularly if it's public. Generally the usual stuff.
Yes, the same stuff he talks about every month, really.
Right, I am going to move us on then to the next bit of news. And the Gordon Murray Automotive, or GMA, has lost its CEO, Phil Lee, but it has now also gained £90 million worth of investment from the Halo Cars Group. And the managing partners of that are also going to be on the board of directors alongside Gordon Murray. Gordon Murray will continue his role as chairman and chief designer, this Evo article tells us. The 90 million will be used to help continue the product plan that they have with the company through to 2039 that they've got mapped out. And one of the managing partners is also the first owner of a GMA vehicle and has commissioned or has bought a lot of the special editions they've done and stuff. He likes the company so much he's almost tried to buy it himself. I think it's one of those.
What was the Remington guy called?
It was that. Well, 90 million, that's going to help Gordon Murray Automotive. This can only be a good thing as far as I'm concerned. We want to see the GMA stuff coming up because there's also the clever platform stuff that they've got in the background for them and the production tactics or production systems that they've got mapped out as well.
Victor Kayam, for those of you who
Victor
are
Kayam.
old and grey as us, yes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, to other automotive manufacturers named after their founders, Ford. Ford in North America is to scale back its electric vehicle plans. There's a couple of reasons for this. One of which is probably the complete 180-degree U-turn performed by the current administration over the whole idea of basically EV tax credits, and that they don't exist anymore in the US. As a result, there's far harder to get interest in things like the F-150 Lightning, the electric full-size pickup truck, and probably a certain amount about the Mustang Mach-E, which was always very expensive, really, for what it was. Nice thing to drive. I drove one here, not there. Curious to know what will happen to things like the hybrids that exist in the range as well. Things like the, mental blank, Maverick pickup truck. One of which I saw in Sterling recently.
Well, the hybrid is going to the focus is going to be generally as electrified as it gets because
it's not the Focus because they've stopped building the Focus.
Yes, once again, even after 4 weeks off, I still can't stop falling into these puns. But yeah, the F-150 Lightning pickup truck is going to be made into a hybrid. I think they are going to lean into hybrids, and that's as electric-y as it's going to get for some time.
In Europe, seems to be continuing with things like the Puma EV and also the tie-ups with Volkswagen as well, bringing us things like the Explorer.
Soon to have the Renault 5 rebadge.
Yeah, so not just Volkswagen, but Renault as well. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know. Ford product planning has been a very, very strange place for the last many years.
Yes.
And I think it's just going to get slightly weirder and more hybridized over the next little while as well. I mean, maybe in 3 years' time, everything will change and become slightly more normal again, but let's just see. It's very difficult for the North American car manufacturers. Basically, the whole regulatory landscape has changed under them when they were still trying to get used to the last one.
Right, I'm going to move us on. I'm going to move us on to Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. And they have posted a loss of £365 million, which sounds really quite bad. However, it is not as bad as that, because what they have done is they have written down $423.8 million to do with the compensation they are setting aside for the financial redress scandal. They are not the only company that has done this. Was it Lloyd's?
Lloyd's Banking Group and BMW.
Yeah.
Lloyd's Banking Group, $1.95 billion.
Yeah.
And BMW Financial Services, $207 million set aside.
Yeah. Basically, they're taking the bad news now.
Yeah.
It's just a financial, it's just an accountancy thing. Get it in this year, and then we can look how wonderful next year is going to be.
Totally. More information linked in the show notes if you're interested in that. Moving on, Tesla. Tesla has cancelled a multi-billion-dollar cathode material order from L&F, according to Electrive. L&F is a South Korean battery material manufacturer. Tesla has reduced due to a change in delivery quantities.
That's one way of putting it.
This is incredible. Supply contract for cathode materials from approximately $2.9 billion to, and I had to go off and check this and make sure I hadn't missed something, $7,000. And Andrew and I's theory here is the pallet was on its way already.
Yeah.
I love the next line, though, which is a possible reason could be weak demand for the Cybertruck. Cybertruck's the only vehicle that uses this specific battery size, which was meant to be rolled out into other Tesla models and any new cheap Teslas that could be invented quickly, but hasn't been. And it doesn't look like there's any move forward on actually doing that. Poor L&F stuck at the other end of that silliness. But
yeah,
$7,000, everyone.
From $2.9 billion.
From $2.9 billion.
I'm going to take us to China, and this is actually a really interesting and I think a really good thing that is happening by Chinese regulators. They have introduced a new mandatory standard for energy consumption for fully electric passenger cars. This came into effect on the 1st of January 2026. The standards do actually change depending on the weight of the vehicle. That's the curb weight of the vehicle, not gross weight. Hello, Cardiff Council. So what they have stated is that if a vehicle is around 2 tons, the maximum permissible energy consumption is set at 15.1 kilowatt per hour per 100 kilometers. Now, this is going to go on the Chinese CLTC cycle, so that's like our WLTP. They get lower figures than WLTP does, so this is really going to bite. I think it's a brilliant idea because this is something we have banged on about for now 9 years since we took an electric car around Britain. The efficiency side of things has to be improved. We cannot just keep chucking in massive batteries and thinking that fixes it.
For a long time now, it's exactly the same. People have been shoving in essentially bigger and bigger fuel tanks and going, look at the range you can get. This had to happen. This was going to happen at some point. I'm really glad it's starting to happen now. But people saying, well, that's not the solution. We have to start looking at the efficiency of this and essentially the fuel consumption. You know, you want to be able to go longer ranges on littler batteries because that it uses less, it weighs less, it costs less, it makes everything just better. You have to be more efficient. As I say, it's only been a matter of time before this was going to appear. I'm really glad China's having to work out the various machinations of it because I think that they'll probably do a better job of this and then adapting stuff so that it's correct than maybe some of definitely than the US right now, but maybe many of the European markets as well.
I think they're less susceptible to being lobbied, shall we say, as well.
Yes. Well, yes, exactly. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what theirs is and that they create the blueprint for how to do this in the rest of the world. I look forward to seeing this idea and hopefully the learnings from this spreading.
Yep, absolutely. And we all follow the Near Khan method of developing cars.
Yes.
Patented, trademarked, etc.
The person tells the last thing we should do is going to be near, but never mind. Englandshire. Thousands of drivers wrongly fined for speeding since 2021 due to faulty cameras is the headline on this story. It's National Highways are saying that a very small number of drivers have been fined incorrectly since 2021 and has apologised for the error. They say that they've identified around 2,650 incorrect camera activations, so that's less than 2 a day, as if that makes you feel any better. Not all of those will have resulted in fines, as they're not always enforced. But yes, the issue affected 10% of motorways and A roads in England.
No, that's conflicting information they're giving out there.
Oh, yeah.
And they said a small proportion got fined, and then they go on about that. Not all of them do result in a fine. What they're apologising to, they are only apologising to those who have been fined. So if you went on a speed awareness course, that's not a fine.
No.
But your insurance will have gone up because you'll have had to declare that.
Well, they say it doesn't, says man who has been on speed awareness course.
Yeah, all right, come on. Yeah. Of course it doesn't.
My bum, it's an insurance company. Of course it's an excuse to put the price up.
Yeah.
But don't worry, because they're going to pay you back the fine.
Oh, that's great. How about the extra I paid on my insurance?
It doesn't mention that.
And how about if I had to take time off work?
No mention of that either.
To deal with any of that? Oh, right. You're not really apologising, is what I'm getting from this.
No, not really. They're not really making it right. They're just going, yeah, we made a mistake. And you had to pay more money as a result. But we'll give you the money we had to pay to us. It's pretty lame, really. First of all, these cameras should be fixed so that they err on the side of caution. And again, I'm going to repeat what Andrew said earlier on. We are not condoning speeding. We do not think that you should do that, but we do think that you shouldn't be essentially defrauded by the people that run speed cameras.
Go get your software right. Stop this. Enough of this nonsense.
Right.
Absolutely enough of this nonsense. Sick to the back teeth of we are celebrating incompetence, basically. Those people should be fired.
Is this next story mine or yours?
Mine.
Shall I just take it?
So moving on to software. Oh gosh, isn't it tricky for some? BMW in the US.
It's not just in the US. I don't think, no, it just happens to be that this is a US story, but it's not just in the US, it's in Europe as well.
Well, the documents are filed in the NHTSA.
Right. And
I haven't had a chance to look if it is in the UK and elsewhere.
I thought it was.
BMW is recalling nearly 37,000 X3s because there is a software, and Car Scoops is putting this far too politely, flaw, which allowed when the vehicle is stopped or parked, there is wheel movement in the steering wheel and therefore the front wheels as well.
If it sounds like wheel movement and you're just thinking, oh, it's a little vibration, you follow the link in the show notes to this Car Scoops article, and the video is really quite scary of just what it's doing while sitting stationary. Supposedly it only does it stationary, but that's so. But don't worry, because it will be fixed by a software over-the-air update. So,
yippee.
Don't worry about it.
It's from the company that disabled your handbrake remotely on one over-the-air update. Again, see my rant in the previous item about software.
BMW says owners will also have the option of scheduling a free dealer visit if they prefer.
I would be taking it back and saying I would like my money. You do not provide a product that is fit for purpose. Yeah, but honestly, this software stuff, this really has to be done because we're lucky that it isn't happening on vehicles that are moving.
Yeah.
In this instance.
This would have been terrifying.
The industry has to wake up and do this properly, and the regulators need to wake up and have this done properly, because this whole attitude of just ship it, lads, it doesn't matter, is unacceptable.
It goes back to that Tim Stevens article that we talked about just before Christmas.
Yeah. And
just the over-the-air, I will fix it later.
The mentality has to shift. It has to shift or people are going to die.
Absolutely must. One last one before Guilt Minute, everyone. Volvo's EX30, possibly one of the worst cars for reliability they have ever released, I would say. And they've released some stinkers.
One of the worst launches they've ever had.
And they have released some stinkers in the past, if you think about the 480 ES and stuff. But the owners of the Volvo EX30 extended range have been urged not to charge their car beyond 70% after a discovery that a battery fault in some models poses a fire risk. There is a potential overheating problem in cells in the EX30 single-motor extended range and twin-motor performance models built between 2024 and 2026. They say that the issue arises at high states of charge and in worst-case scenarios that could lead to a fire in the battery. If you do have an EX30, that does sound like a description of your cars. For goodness sakes, get in touch with your dealer if they haven't been in touch with you already. And do try to drive it as little as you possibly can, please.
Yep. That's the end of the first part, everybody. We've gone through as fast as we can. But there was a lot of stuff to catch up on just due to the timings of when our last news show was and when our first one was.
So those of you who like to do a set distance on a treadmill in the first half of the show, you've had a nice relaxed run of it today, haven't you?
Yeah, that's the post-Christmas run.
And yes, we have finally got to Guilt Minute, quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel the Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. The different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, we do completely understand, then you can help us by following for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all of that, and some of you do, so thank you very much, then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to all the lovely new subscribers.
Yes, exactly. All across various platforms as well as YouTube, which is where we're trying to have a little bit of a push. We are still having a push. Don't let this put you off. But yeah, we've managed to go from like 300 subscribers to over 1,000 subscribers in a couple of months. So thank you everyone very much.
Yeah. And thank you for new patrons as well.
Yes, totally.
Absolutely. Appreciate your support, however you can give it to us. Right, I will take us on to new car news, and I'm going to start with Alpine. That French sports car manufacturer, you know, the very light, agile, lovely sports cars that have come out from them. Well, they are going to bring us a 2.1-ton crossover that's electric. Yippee. Sorry, I'm very bored of electric SUV sporty pretensions. It's going to be fast because it's electric. I am sure Alpine engineers will sprinkle French fairy dust over the driving dynamics, and it will be one of the better electric SUVs to drive around. But it's an electric SUV.
That's definitely what I've heard so far.
It's just, ugh. Okay, so some of the figures. It's going to start from 61,390. This is apparently going to be, the order books will be open early in 2026. Well, we don't know quite how early that is yet. We still haven't heard. There will be the base GT version, and then it will be the Premier Edition, and then the GTS. All the prices going up as far as you can see with those as well. There is a link in the show notes to an ElecDrive article with all that detail.
And I'm sure there'll be further models on top of that.
Yeah.
With super special reasons and nice colours and all sorts of stuff.
They're talking about 345-mile range with the GT version, but then when you move up to the top of the range, it's 312 miles. They're all going to come with an 89 kilowatt-hour battery, and yay. Okay. They've done a Lotus in terms of they've gone from small, lithe sports cars to really quite large SUV.
It's not nearly as large.
No, it's not.
So it's a bit different in its execution.
Yeah.
For Lotus, for a start, still made in Europe, scaled for European roads, and these kind of things, which are clear and rather obvious, you would think, mistakes that Lotus made. And as a result, the first drives certainly seemed far more positive than I saw about the Electra and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Worth mentioning that there is a description here of the available colour spectrum, which I like for its pretentiousness. There will be 6 body colours are available from launch, starting with Blanc Topaz, so white, followed by Noir Profond, so profound black, Argent Mercure, which is obviously Silver Hotel, Bleu Abyss, so the blue abyss, Bleu Alpine Vision, which is just like Alpine blue, and Gris Tonnerre Matte, Thunder Grey. A special atelier finish will be available on GT and GTS with a contrasting black roof, can be added for £1,000 should you so desire. Anyway, from the sublime to the whatever the opposite of ridiculous is, Kia has revealed the K4 Sportswagen, which is their rival for the Skoda Octavia estate. It is in that sort of larger family hatchback and larger D-segment saloon crossover area. It is 4.695, that's incredibly specific, meters long. That's a little bit shorter than the Octavia, but 265 mil longer than the hatchback. all of that extra length being sort of behind the back wheels. 166 litres more boot space than the hatchback, so 604 litres with the seats up.
Go buy it, or we don't get any estates anymore.
Yes, exactly. Prices yet to be announced, but the hatchback starts at £26,045, so it's expected to start somewhere around £27,000. Octavia estates start from £29,470, and a Peugeot 308 SW starts at £28,695. I imagine it's going to undercut both of those a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks good too.
It does. It does look good. Right, I'm going to move us on to the news that Mitsubishi is coming back to the UK, and they are going to bring back the Outlander PHEV and the L200. Now, Mitsubishi, since they left us, have decided to have a slightly more aggressive front nose to their vehicles. And they really are
ugly.
Not perhaps the most aesthetically pleasing.
They did actually start revealing this before they left the UK, because there were various concepts around that were shown at Geneva, for example.
Yeah, you're right, actually, yeah.
This similar kind of X sort of grille and these sort of big but low down headlamps are sort of recessed into the body a bit.
I think it would work if they were big, aggressive 4x4s, but the PHEV trying to be nice to everything, it just doesn't meld well, in my opinion. It doesn't fit the model. It
worked great on the concepts that they showed, but I think now when it's been sort of grafted onto the front of what is an otherwise incredibly generic SUV shape, that it doesn't, it sort of loses any of the impact it had. You know what? For the Outlander and stuff, I'm sure it will refine the market. And it will.
Will it do?
So I think the people who bought them before, people who bought them in the past really liked them.
Yeah, but the Chinese are hitting now, and they're here at probably much more affordable price as well.
Well, quite possible. Remember, it's International Motors who are bringing these in, so you do who are also importing many of those Chinese competitors, as well as Subaru and Isuzu and stuff. I don't think IM will care too much, given that they're competing with themselves in these kind of situations. Of course, the other vehicle they're bringing in is the L200, which is elsewhere in the world sold as a Nissan. So it's certainly in the US. I mean, when I was in the US, the Frontier, which previously the Frontier name was used for the Navara, the North American version. I was always kind of curious why Nissan weren't bringing it back, but it looks like Nissan in their shared Ford product planning department, or at least they all went to the same school, seem to have decided not to bring back a pickup truck, but instead Mitsubishi are going to get the same pickup truck, but made a bit uglier, and also not with the 310 horsepower V6, petrol V6 it's sold with in the US, but with a 200 horsepower diesel instead. Again, I'm saying it's International Motors who are importing this, the same people who import the Isuzu D-Max. I don't know. There seems to be an awful lot of cross-pollination, cross-competitiveness within the one company here, but then Volkswagen manage it.
Yep, true.
So many of the big brand groups, and it looks nice enough inside. It doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's not as good looking. The Frontier is particularly good looking. In fact, I'd say it's better looking than the range of the Hilux or any of the other competitors that there are to this. You'll see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do you want to take us on to the first of two designers' mood board stories?
Yes, of course there are two, aren't there? First of all, ex-Polestar CEO Thomas Ingenlath has returned to the Volvo fold.
The band's got back together.
Exactly. to return that chief design role. Ingenlath, I mean, he penciled a number of, obviously, of production models, as well as a couple of concepts, which in turn then turned into Polestars. Things like the Concept Coupe and the Concept 40.2, which became Polestar 1, Polestar 2. He's back in the main Geely Group. Again, how much this relates back perhaps to what we were talking about earlier on with some of the strategic juggling and jiggery-pokery within the Geely Group, we shall see in due course, I'm sure. But on the other hand, that's quite good to have him back, I guess.
Yeah, he's penned some lovely cars, to be fair to him. But the second story is that, and it's linked in an Evo article in the show notes, is that Gordon Wagner, the chief design officer for Mercedes, has stepped down, with AMG designer Bastien Baudy is going to take his place. He's been in the company 28 years and in the role for 9 years as chief design officer. It's akin to Jerry McGovern in terms of longevity and their imprint on a company.
Survivability. Yeah.
Yes. And to be fair, he has done been involved in some really nice cars that Mercedes have brought out. If you think of the first generation, I particularly like the first generation CLS coupe, the four-door coupe.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that screamed gangster, and it was brilliant. But he also was involved in the last generation AMG GT, which, funnily enough, Evo remember fondly in this article. No idea if he's going on to anybody else or set up a consultancy or whatever he's going to do. But yeah, that's that situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, good luck to him. Yep. Although I'd probably still find himself doodling 3-pointed stars in the corner of his notebook or something. Lunchtime read this week, moving into points of interest. Lunchtime read, this is a proper friends of the show type story. And Haggerty, Anthony Ingram drives the Tata Nano, in this case the Tata Nano belonging to Jim McGill. Have a read because it's a really interesting little story. And yeah, Sean Hudson is there to keep Ant right, but yeah, it's quite something. Yeah. It's a really interesting concept behind the vehicle. Yes. Just the execution. Well, it wasn't even the execution. It's the whole story around the execution of the factory and all that kind of stuff. That's actually where the problem started. Have a read. The problems were sort of all industrial unrest and then trying to displace people to build a factory and all of these kind of things. And that delayed everything and meant that the whole sort of window of excitement was missed. But yeah, go have a read and then Ant's take on driving it is quite something. Yes, I mean there's mutterings of other expeditions with this car and there's a mix of opinion on how far and how big those expeditions should be. Right, list of the week, and the first one of the year is thanks to Petrolblog, and it is 10 of the best badly driven cars, and this is off the back of Gavin, big surname, having to do an awful lot of miles in a short space of time on Britain's roads. This has really hammered home his opinions on certain vehicles, on how they are driven. Alan, I don't know whether you should we be picking the car that you like the most or the one that hits home the most, that you go, yes, I totally agree with everything he said about how badly it's driven? Actually, I'm going to go with how badly they're driven, because I'm amazed since I have returned to the UK, over the last year since I've been back in the UK, how badly the current generation Toyota CHR is driven. It is, I mean, there are a couple on the list here that I could show. This one just amazes me because I never noticed the previous generation CHR and I never noticed the way it was driven or anything like that. But the current generation, certainly around, I mean, Perth driving standards suck. But around here, the driving standards of the Toyota CHR stand out for their appallingness. That's the one I'm going to choose. Okay. Do read the article. Do click the link and read everything he writes. It's a wonderful article. It's almost a lunchtime read as well. It's not really a listicle. It is more of a lunchtime read. But have a read because it's worth a chuckle. Yeah. And that is not the only treat to round out the first news show of the year, is it, Alan? No. The end finally this week is a 17.5-minute video, which is on YouTube, obviously. What am I going to say about this? It's really wonderful. Yes. Don't be put off by the whole Petrolicious style. Well, it's about Alfa Romeo. It's about Alain de Cadenet. It's produced by his youngest son, Aidan. It's called The Alpha. Don't be put off by the apparent pretentiousness before you click play, and even a little bit once you've clicked play. It's really wonderful. It's a lovely story. There's some lovely shots in there, some beautiful footage, and a great story and memories around it. Please take the time for this one. It's a cracker. as I said, don't be put off by any apparent pretentiousness.
I would say that this is one of the very few films that actually helped me feel what the car was like. I got a real feeling for the car, not just how it looked and sounded, but I could almost smell it. I was almost like, oh, I can feel the way they're driving around that corner. And that's an incredibly rare and wonderful thing to have pulled off.
It's an Alpha TZ, by the way. I couldn't remember the model for a second there. Yeah. Spend some time on lunchtime watching this. Well worth it. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
It's a lovely reminder of how special a car can be.
And not just for the car's sake. I think that's probably what makes it so touching, really.
Yeah.
Parish notes. We hope you enjoyed some special editions. There are many more special editions to come. We have such a backlog.
We do.
With more on the horizon as well. I'm off on a jolly next week.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, which means that it will be a solo show next week, won't it? Unless something ridiculous happens with timings. Because I'll be away on a podcast-related jolly. I hope you enjoyed those. I say many, many more to come. I hope you've enjoyed some of the sort of varied formats as well. Do feel free to give us some feedback on some of those. We've tried to incorporate different things. They're not all road tests or anything. Yeah, nothing else. Don't forget, folks, between now and next week, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts with the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky. Beware of imitations. At Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of www.motoringpodcast.com, hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Jump out in front of your car with waving your arms in the air.
Possibly. Either via the contact form on the website, or I am occasionally looking at LinkedIn now that CES is finished.
Oh, the contact form on the website. Yeah, so that goes to me, everyone. Just full disclosure here.
Well, as this first episode is over an hour long, you can do some work as well.
That's fair enough. I'm not going to complain too much.
Okay, then, Alan, if people don't want to get in touch with you via the contact form on the website, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
It's via Blue Sky, or I'm at AJP Bradley. That's BRADLEY.bsky.social. We will be back very soon, but until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.